What is the offseason like for a coach?
Offseason has been pretty kind of.
And then even in another note, Scump's retirement. How did that?
Oh, that was.
Yeah, I didn't even.
Dude, that caught me off guard.
Ask him how he sees Kenny and Dashy getting on this year, because in game they had issues in MW 2019. What do you think the biggest strength of each player on OpTic is?
Ooh, this is good.
Give me your top 5 CoD players all time.
Top 5? Okay.
What's your favorite offseason move?
I think.
Who is the most difficult to coach?
Difficult?
Most difficult to coach.
Difficult.
Exclusive episode 9. And you know I can't bring you that bullshit. Only the best. Today, we got the coach, right? The greatest of all coaches. The one that Crim said was the one that the other ones need to look at. He is the OpTic analyst, the one directing the movements. We have JP Krez.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What is the offseason like for a coach?
Offseason has been pretty kind of boring. I mean, I've been taking some time to myself, trying to learn some new stuff, go over a bunch of YouTube videos and see if I can make some content that way. Just trying to keep myself busy. You know, there's a lot of times where it's like there's nothing really much to do because the game doesn't come out for another few months, so I can't like improve on, you know, game knowledge wise, but I can try and help any type of technical analysis stuff, like learning more concepts in R, or learning, you know, new machine learning stuff, taking courses that way. But for the most part, like just trying to improve myself in other ways that aren't coaching, you know, trying to learn the guitar, reading a little bit more, just trying to make myself like as better in general.
Is there a separation between the different analysts in the league in the sense of, you know, if I have this program, is everyone sharing, or is everyone equal in terms of what they know and what they have and what they have access to? Or is it really like whoever finds it first, implements it, figures it out, is just going to be ahead of the rest?
Just ahead of the rest. Like, I don't even know if other analysts are doing the same work. I know one analyst who used to work at LAG. He's now moved away from esports for the time being, but I still talk to him every now and then. And we kind of grew up. He taught me a lot of coding stuff in R, which is like a statistical software program, back in Black Ops 4 when we started doing some COD stat stuff together. But for the rest of the analysts, I'm not really sure. Like, it's really just that race to whatever. So there's probably things that I built that they don't know how to do or haven't thought of yet, and there's probably things that they've built themselves that I haven't thought about yet. So it really is that, you know, mind game thing where it's like, I don't know what they're working with, but if it's useful, then it's useful, you know? It
really is a goose chase then. It really is trying to out knowledge them with what's the newest thing.
Yeah, and what you can actually obtain, because like if we're not given data from the league in a specific sense, or, you know, all the scrims we're not given data for, we have to get that ourselves. So it's like, what are you getting that I'm not getting, and what could I do to improve that so that I could be getting what you're getting? You know, it really is like an arms race.
Okay, that's kind of sick. It like makes it a little more like Oppenheimer-y. Like everyone's racing for that one like nuclear bomb to get to like change the game. So you said you kind of talked about your, you know, learning R back in Black Ops 3. You said
Black Ops 4.
Black Ops 4.
Yeah.
Where did you transition from being a, you know, you said a Cornell? We talked a little off camera. Cornell guy. And then bringing that kind of knowledge in your college experience, how did that transition to competitive Call of Duty stats?
Well, so I was always doing like COD stat stuff back in, we started in 2014, so right when I was a senior in high school. So that it actually started before I was in college, and I didn't end up going to college for like stats or anything. Like, I majored in labor relations because I was thinking about going thinking about going to law school. So I actually did get accepted to a law school. At the same time, I got a job offer from New York.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a big decision, and you know, my parents probably weren't as happy at the time, but they were been supportive about it. So yeah, a lot of the stuff that I learned was on my own time, and I took like 1 or 2 coding courses as like electives during college, but I never really thought about pursuing more into it.
Yeah.
And then once I graduated, I started doing more events with MLG and helping them out that way. And once franchising was a possibility, I thought that I could potentially get a job offer as like an analyst for a team. So I was trying to improve my knowledge in statistical softwares to help with that. And yeah, it was just like basically my own time thing. Just it was a passion for me, so it wasn't really too much work because I liked doing it. So
yeah. It's kind of an insane. I had no idea that you went to college for something completely unrelated. You were just like completely coding behind the scenes, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you turned that into a whole gig with the MLG, and then, naturally NYSL. I have to press you a little bit just because of the Crim, Clay, and so much conversation going on about this.
Yeah.
What was your experience like with the NYSL team?
My experience was always good. I mean, obviously, we talk about the Vanguard year. It was a little mixy with all the drama and stuff. But, my first 2 years were great. That last year was a little mixy, but like I still have good relationships with pretty much everyone that I worked with there. I don't know. I'm really easy to get along with, and I don't hold grudges. So it's not like, I'm gonna hold something against someone for a long time. It's like, that was a part of my life, and then I moved on to the OpTic roster. So, I am grateful for them offering me that initial job offer, like after I finished college and once franchising started. But the time came up for me to explore new opportunities, and that's what I did. Yeah.
With being on the sideline essentially of that team, did you see it start to break down? Did you witness the breakdown of it a bit?
Well, I witnessed the breakdown from basically square one. Like, you could technically see, based on the start of the year, that it wasn't really going to work, especially with Crim and Clay. Unfortunately, those two were just going to be butting heads.
Why do you say that though? What did you see?
Just both of them having different mindsets on what they wanted to do in the game. And both are very, hard-headed with what they're going to want the team to do. And if they're telling, if they're being the alpha with telling the team what to do and the other person doesn't agree with it, they're going to be butting heads with that. They're not ones to concede.
Both very much champion mindsets.
Oh, 100%.
So
and that's
who's right.
Yeah, and that's necessary for those players, but they just weren't going to work together. We could tell that basically instantly.
Right. And then, we hear the bobble gets swapped out, D-Real gets put in. We hear Gersh gets talked to about the rosters. Do they come to you and ask you about the roster as well? Who do you think should be in the place and all that stuff as well?
I think they asked everyone.
Really? It was a whole staff choice decision?
Yeah, I think from my knowledge, they asked everyone and were just willing to get everyone's opinions on it. And that's fine with them. That's their decision. They're businessmen. They can do whatever they want in terms of their business. So,
right.
I mean, obviously the whole Bobble Java thing, it was kind of, weird dynamic, especially with me on the side where it was that third.
Yeah, I'm curious.
coach.
I'm curious what you saw in that, because now you have two coaches that are all obviously there's gonna be headbutting there because they swapped randomly essentially.
Yeah.
And then you're there hey, what's going on here?
I think the idea was something needed to be changed, and they didn't want to change the players yet. So that's what I got from Farzam, from New York.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, the reason why it was going down that way. And they assumed that with, Java's experience, I think as a boxing coach, that he would be naturally fit into that role and help them on the mental side. So yeah, I guess that was how the decision went down. But it was really awkward because it was everyone was kind of competing for the same thing, and it wasn't everyone's a team. It's I'll bring up something, Ball will bring up something, Javed will bring up something, but it felt like a competition on who could bring up the most stuff for some reason. And I don't know, it just maybe it was because of the culture of how the team was playing. Everyone was trying to fix the mistakes. So yeah, it was just a really weird year. But they grew from it. They had a really good year this year, obviously winning champs. Yeah. I grew from it in my role. So there's nothing I could say bad about it. It was just growing pains. It was an experience that unfortunately we had to experience, but it was a growing experience for sure.
When they came to you to say who to keep, Crim or Clay, which one did you say?
I said we should do tryouts because I was
such a political answer. We had to do tryouts.
I favored Clay just a little bit because I had that experience with him in the previous year in Cold War. But I didn't know how it was going to work going into Vanguard, and whether Paco and Travis would Crim more and want to play with him more. because obviously, Paco probably resented Clay a little bit for, benching himself towards the end of the Cold War season.
Yeah.
So I assume that was on the back of his mind too. So, it's not a coaching decision on who you want to play with. It's, who the player is going to want to play with. At the end of the day, they're going to be one spawning in. So it's not like I can choose for them. So it's like whatever the players are going to choose, like I'll support that because that's, they're going to be one that's playing with them. So.
Right. And then you talked a little bit, you touched on it when you said about the mental side, like that's where Javed kind of came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, what kind of coach do you think is the most effective in the CDL? Someone who's more mindset based, someone who's more, previous player, perfect play guy, or maybe someone like you who's more analysis and didn't really compete in COD necessarily, but just very analytical and data driven. Who wins that? Who wins that race?
All right, the political answer.
Go hit me.
They
hit me the
can
cheese.
all work.
Okay.
They can all work. So it's okay. You have your technical side, you have your mental side, you have analytical side. But if that person can't have a good relationship with the player and be able to talk with them about whatever, then what's the point? It's like there are a lot more. Coaching in the league is more. Personalities, dealing with personalities and emotional intelligence than a lot of people realize.
Right.
Like, you can know the best play on what to do something, but if you're trying to like actually coach that person with that, how I speak to one player is not going to be how I speak to another player just because I know how they'll receive that feedback.
Right.
And whether they're going to receive that feedback well or not, you have to tailor your experiences based on whatever player you're dealing with. I'm not going to say the same thing to Paco as I'm going to say to Crim because they're just going to take it differently, So all three can work. I think all three have their benefits. I think all of them can technically work. It's like mental side is important, analytical side is important, and technical side is important. They're all important. It's just if you're able to do it effectively with the players that you have.
If you had to put them in a top three, list them in order from importance.
Top three?
Yeah, importance of what's most important. Number one, obviously being the most, third being the least, of mental, actual playmaking, or data. How would you rank those for the ideal?
Having a coach that has the ability to do all three is obviously the perfect case. But yeah, I would say probably mental side, technical side, analytical side is great in terms of preparing and practice wise. A lot of the stuff.
You say the playmaking side. The third one's the playmaking side.
Or no, so the second one was like the technical playmaking. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Then third is data.
Third I would say is analytical.
You're putting yourself at the bottom, bro.
I mean, I'm a humble guy, but like, it is something that comes afterwards because it's more of a reflection on what everyone's doing on the map. So it's like technical side is like we should be playing like this, or how do you guys like to play this? Let's maybe send this person here, whatever. I'm the one that could sort of look back on what's going wrong, what are strengths, what are weaknesses, how can we improve it based on what other teams are doing. So it's like it's hard to rank them because all three are needed.
Yeah, all of them have their place.
Oh, 100%.
But just in the curiosity of where you would if you had to make the ideal person, like how you would categorize their strong suits.
And honestly, like as the analytical guy, like I would put myself as third, as if I was like back in MW 2019. But I've gotten that knowledge and that experience where, I want to say I'm emotionally intelligent with how to deal with the players, and I have a lot of that more game knowledge. Like I was able to learn under Lamar, Crim, Clay, Shotzi, like a lot of really smart players. I've gotten to learn under all of them and gotten those experience, and that's been like a godsend for me because I came in as just a numbers guy, and then once I was able to actually get a lot of that game knowledge, like I know what a good play is or a bad play is, and actually improving in all of those areas, whether it's mental side, technical side, analytical side, like all three should be accounted for.
I hear you. You mentioned, there's so much substance in what you said that I want to touch on so much.
Gotcha.
But just curious, you said Fish for New York.
Yeah.
What kind of, you said you had conversation with him that he kind of put you through like, some reflection probably.
Yeah.
What type of things would he say to you or the team that made you saw the impact of that on their mindset? What was he saying?
Yeah, so a lot of it was dealing with problems that we might have had like outside of the game. So it's like if one player is having their confidence shot because of something, bring them up in that sense. Or, we have, let's say, Clay, and he's super mature with how to handle any, you know, criticism that you might take, you can talk to him this way. But if you were to talk to Paco like that might shut him down a little bit. So you don't want to bring it this.
He was making you aware of these little tendencies.
Yeah, kind of aware, but also like, yeah, giving us tips for how to handle that in our situation, because he's not going to be there in practice with us. He's not going to be, you know, talking with them during the games. At that moment, he was just having those one-on-one sessions with us and some of the players, and, you know, sometimes some group meetings. But he was like that aid that we can go to as like, oh, I'm having some problems with these players here, or we're having problems as a team. You know, what do you suggest we should do to fix it? So he was really beneficial with that, and I'll always give him props for that.
No, that's cool. Again, that's someone to kind of guide those interactions, because I feel like that's like a shortcoming of a lot of either players and coaches. Oh, yeah. Relationships, right? Like knowing how to deal with someone else, expecting that their viewpoint alone is the right one, and not being able to adapt it to different people.
Oh, it's so big. Settings. And there's so many conversations that like it could have been salvaged. You know, some teams might have like dropped a player, or, you know, something may have gone wrong and they bomb out a tournament. And if you would have had one conversation with them about one thing, you know, that doesn't even happen. And it's crazy to look back on things like that. But yeah, no, it's super important. And you see esports teams nowadays signing like mental performance coaches all the time, and actually utilizing them.
Sure. There has to be a reason, obviously. So yeah. And then you mentioned also, you touched a little bit on, you brought up Damon Karma. Yeah. One of the GOATs, obviously. You know, how has it been adapting to him kind of stepping into this interesting OpTic coaching analyst role you're in, and him kind of being, whether you're supporting him, he's supporting you, kind of supporting each other. What kind of stuff has he brought to the team and the coaching style that wasn't there before?
Yeah, so he's been super supportive. I think when he originally came in, and he came in probably like the last few weeks, so he himself was like, you know, I'm just going to take a little bit back foot here, because, you know, you've been coaching for the remainder of the season. Like, I don't want to step on your toes and like do anything. So I super respected that, because I was like, you know, dude, anything that you say, like, please bring it up. Like, I'd love for another like voice of that. So he has that ability to, you know, if he's bringing something up, everyone's listening 100%. And like, I'll bring things up and they'll listen, but it's like, okay, everyone stop what you're doing and listen right now, because it was pretty rare for him to bring something up, because he wanted to take that back foot at the end of the season. But yeah, obviously they all respect him as a coach and as a player too, because of his success and how good of like game knowledge, game IQ that he had. So going into the season, I expect him to take more of a bigger role with that, because I know he was holding things back because of what situationally, like, he didn't want to step on toes. So yeah, I think he's going to be super beneficial for us like next year.
So yeah, you're hinting at it. So is it in likelihood?
I assume so. Like, he's said it on stream. Like, I haven't gotten full confirmation, but yeah, I think he's back.
Hell yeah. So, you know, what was it like, by the way? Because you got kind of shot into the coach role. Yeah. It wasn't naturally transitioned. It wasn't just, I got hired for the job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about that too in a second, but, you know, someone got removed and then you had to step in. What is it like midway through the season with all this chaos happening, obviously drama everywhere? Yeah. How is it like stepping into that role and like trying to, you know, get the OpTic guys kind of like,
yeah, it was hard. Ahead. Like, I mean, obviously didn't expect it, but I realized, like, you know, those are the cards I'm dealt. Like, I have to make the most of it. I'm not just gonna sit down and, you know, not do anything. Like, I gotta do something for the team now that, you know, Ray was gone. So it was like I had to grow into something more than I was, and, you know, I didn't do as much as like a full technical coach would do, because that wasn't my experience. Like, I would be more so like there for them in case things were needed. Like, I would bring up strengths, weaknesses that we had, you know, what we could be doing better. But I wasn't saying, you know, like, oh, you should have challenged here, or like, why don't you just play this position instead? Like, it was a lot of things where it's like I didn't want to get into their minds as someone who, you know, didn't play professionally and say things like, you know, nitpicky things.
Talking gameplay when they look at you like, bro, who are you saying this as?
No, because I still think they respect me in terms of like gameplay wise. Okay. But it wasn't like, I didn't want to be like any nitpicky. Like, I didn't want to overcoach them.
Got you.
Because I didn't want to be like, oh, you know, we're doing this thing wrong. Like, let's fix this by doing X, Y, Z. Like, it's like, oh no, we should be figuring this out as a team. Like, I didn't want to be the one, like, I could ask questions and suggest things, but I didn't want to be the one that was like, we're doing this wrong, let's do this.
This is the right answer. It's only this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, that could be a problem, especially with like, but also it couldn't be a problem. It's like sometimes some players might like that and they would respond well to that. But I knew with these players that this would be the best course of action for me to take, you know?
I mean, we saw the results. I mean, they started playing a lot better.
Yeah.
Relatively soon
but I mean,
after.
I don't want to gas myself up, but we also had like Kyler playing well, Dan Ghosty coming in. He was like super talented for us. Like, everything kind of clicked once we were all clicking. So everything, it was just like a perfect storm.
What was that like to, like, you know, let go of Inder and pick up a new player? Yeah, specific 2 parts to that question. Obviously, the letting go of Inder, like, I'm sure that's a tough decision for everyone on the team.
Yeah.
And then picking up Ghosty, like, what did he bring from your eyes?
Yeah. So yeah, it was tough. Like, it was more like player driven and management decision. But like, I think it was he reached out to me. He was like, yo, what do you know about Dan Ghosty? I was like, I heard good things about him in the amateur scene, because he was like, yeah, we're looking about picking him up. So I was like, bet, like, I'm down. Whoever you guys want to play with, I'm down to coach or help coach anyone. And Dan was great. Like, he honestly has better comms than like 95% of pros. Like, he's top 3 in comms and better comms than probably like anyone I've ever coached. Like, and that's insane to think about, but he was like super knowledgeable about the game, great comms, and like, you couldn't really ask for more for someone who's just joining the team as an amateur, joining OpTic as an amateur, and being that like 4th guy to try to be the glue to bring this team to champs. And because we weren't doing particularly well at the beginning of the year, you know, we were bottoming out and pretty much, well, we got top 4 with Inder, but we bottomed out in the first tournament. Yeah. But yeah, he stepped into the role and he was great with it. Yeah. How did, beyond him, I guess, you and him and that whole like basically 2 tourneys of you guys having like big success, what was just the refresher of having a new spirit of you not having so much nitpicky control, or would you attribute it more to Ghosty and him bringing some life into the team, or was it just the perfect storm of everything together? I think it's everything, but obviously I would credit more to the player, because he's the one playing. Like, Dan was great, and Kyler, a lot of people say just Dan, but you know, Kyler also improved a lot from his major 4. But again, Dan with his comms was able to take a lot of the pressure off of Ant, who was leading a lot of the comms and the respawns, and he was just able to make it so much easier for the rest of the guys to like actually work with. So yeah, it was everything. Did you out of all the guys for the year, who, you know, let's say from Ghosty on, you know, from that period on, who stood out to you the most out of the 4 players? So like the roster we finished with? Yeah, you guys finished with, yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, it's so hard because it's like, what are you looking at? Like, in terms of just gameplay, like, Ant has been crazy. Like, I don't think people realize the amount of talent that like Ant has with some of the stuff he does, and he's a really talented player. In terms of like consistency, Brandon, like, you can always rely on Brandon to do his job and, you know, drop a 1.0 plus, or, you know, get in the hill if we needed him to get in the hill. But, you know, the other 2 guys too, like, Kyler had a moment where he was like one of the best subs in the game, and it was insane because he was so annoying for other teams to play against. Yeah. He was so fast, but also like super consistent with that one stage. And then you bring up Dan, and he's like, you know, literally, I would say Octane may have been the only person in the whole league with better comms. And it's like, it was everyone firing on all cylinders, like, where everyone was taking that one, you know, thing that they excelled at, and as a team, they were just like playing perfectly, to the point where it's like, dude, I almost wish we kind of failed in scrims a little more, just to like get some of the stuff out of the way, because things would happen in tournaments that wouldn't happen in scrims. And we were just like frying in these scrims, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, we didn't do that in scrims, like, why are we doing it now? And, you know, maybe if we did it in scrims, we would have fixed it because we would have seen that mistake happen. So things like that, where it's like, dude, maybe we could have failed more. I don't know. Like, like maybe online just like put us in a bubble where we were just like thinking we were the best team. Yeah. And unfortunately, we don't have anything to show for it. That's like one of my biggest regrets, where it's like, we were probably the best team, at least in scrims for sure, for a good 2-month period, but have nothing to show for it, which like sucks. It's a bit unfortunate. Oh, 100%. I don't know how much you can comment on it or how much you want to comment on it, but
What, the whole Rambo situation, the benching of Dashy, all that as well. From your perspective, what was happening at that time with all that? Like, what did you see?
Yeah, so for me, I was that new guy on the scene. And I was like, for the first good month or so, I was just, I was kind of taking a back seat, just learning everything that's going on. I like to, when I join a new team, I like to just be aware of what's going on with the surroundings, like how the players are interacting, how I could possibly interact with the players or the coach. But I could see tension, like, with what was going on with, Ray and maybe Brandon or some of the players. Like, I must have stemmed from Vanguard, and that's what I would assume, because, it wasn't that bad when we started, but I could see tensions rising, maybe because of, like, technically Brandon and Andrew got dropped going into the season, but they picked them back up. So I thought there was going to be a weird sort of tension there, and there kind of was. So I was just that, extra fly on the wall for a good bit of it. And unfortunately, like, all of that stuff was like kind of player management decision. Like, I had no say in that stuff. Like, I liked working with Ray for what it's worth. But I guess, like, the players themselves, like, it wasn't tuned to how they like to be coached.
Right.
But it's like, it's per player. Like, it could work with 4 other guys, and it probably will work with 4 other guys. It's just how they like to be coached wasn't the way that he was coaching, I guess. So yeah, I guess that was what I thought. It was just all things that stemmed up from the year before. That's how I could picture it.
You say you saw some tension though, already there. Was it more visible in maybe like body language or some back and forths maybe you saw, or what was the tension that you're picking up essentially?
Well, not even body language, because for the beginning, like right at the beginning, we were all online because we weren't practicing out of like the Frisco offices, and we were practicing out of Dallas yet.
Okay.
So maybe body language would have been better if, like, obviously we were in person. I think being in person is a super important thing for teams.
Yeah.
But I could see many arguments. Like, obviously teams are going to have arguments, and I've been part of numerous arguments going all the way back to, Lamar and Donnie fighting in MW 2019. But it's like, arguments are necessary. But I figured with the arguments that were going on, it was just like, I knew something was still there from the previous year.
Yeah, it was more like, it wasn't like it wasn't arguments with substance about the game. It was more like petty type of, little things.
Yeah, kind of. It was like all mixing together. But again, it was like, I was just a new guy. So I was like, okay, if this is how it was going down, like, I just assumed that was the normal. So I was like, okay.
I'm trying to keep my OpTic job. All right, cool,
like,
guys. Whatever's happening, I'm here, though.
I'm here, like, it wasn't even that bad for a good part of it, but it was like at a certain point, maybe we weren't doing well in scrims, or maybe it was like because we did poorly at the first major, like tensions rose like going into that major. I don't know. It was weird.
The cracks start to show.
Yeah.
Once you start losing and stuff like that, then a lot of the issues that could be pushed down or pressured down are going to be simmering up instead.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. I could definitely see that. You guys, OpTic made one of the biggest, or I'll say the 2 biggest moves of the offseason. What kind of excitement do you have? What kind of perspective do you have of these, Kenny and Pred coming into the squad? Yeah. What kind of fire? What kind of, even on a technical basis, what do you think they bring in that OpTic was missing maybe in the year last or prior?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to work with the squad. Like, Pred, gameplay wise, is like, dude, you can rely on him to win gunfights. One-on-one gunfights, like him and Hydra, like
neck and neck.
Neck and neck, yeah. So I knew picking up him, he would be like that core, stable, like, let's say we go 2 down, like, I can rely on him to get 1 or 2 to help, like, bail us out or something like that. That type of consistency with, gun talent is hard to find. And when you get it, it's like, whatever we can do to get that player, like, if he doesn't fit, like, what we're trying to do, we can mold him into that. It's just, you need that talent first. Like, talent is number 1. Like, that gun skill is whatever. Like, he was playing on Seattle, and that might have been different from how we were playing, but we can put him into a system, or we can help mold him to, utilize that talent even more. And that's what excites, like, the rest of us. And with Kenny, it's like, I actually had spoken with Kenny. We all went to Seth's house for, like, a little pool party thing, like all 5 of us or 4 of us, whatever. And I just talked to him about his mindset on gameplay stuff and, you know, specific situations. It was me, him, and Ant. And I was like, okay, this is going to work. Like, I could realize that he was seeing the game in the way that I like to see it. Mm-hmm. And I could rely on him to bring things up that I might not bring up or might not see, because he has a really good eye for the game. Like, he even talks about it where it's like, you know, a scrim ends and he already knows what to be talking about to improve our game in that based on that map.
Right.
And that's like super helpful for my job, because it's like, if I didn't see that, that's, you know, that's another thing that we could bring up. And, you know, just his ideals or ideas on how to play in general were just, I knew we were aligned. So I'm super excited to work with him.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. On a you said you guys were at a pool, like at a pool thing at Seth's house talking about COD. You guys are such nerds. Holy shit.
It was like a little get together, because like we had never like seen each other in person yet. So.
Oh, you guys, this is the first time you guys really got together?
Yeah.
Did you see that like kind of chemistry with everyone? Like, was everyone like vibing in a sense?
I think so. Yeah. Like,
I feel like it's a very vibey squad.
It's hard to like not be vibey first day where you're just meeting them. You know, it's like, it's like, imagine going into it and you're just like
everyone's
already picking fights, and it's like, oh no, like what do we get ourselves?
You're like, holy shit, this is already looking like it's gonna explode. Holy hell. Yeah. When you came in as a new guy, pretty new even now, how has it been kind of like from other teams in the past, or even working at the MLG, to now being in the OpTic culture? It's kind of like mythicized in a bit too. Everyone loves it. Everyone's a lot of fans are super about it. Yeah. What is it like to be on the inside of the OpTic?
Yeah, the inside is great. Like it's yeah, like you said, family. But the big thing is obviously the fans. Like you go to an event and you might have to like take the private entrance, because if you guys go through the regular entrance, like you're getting mobbed. And like that'd never been like that before. Like I was going to events since 2015, and I was just like walking through, I wouldn't get stopped, chilling, just go to the back, you know, production truck, or, you know, when I was working with NOSL, we'd, you know, get stopped here and there. But it's like, no, there's gonna be tons of people waiting for you and waiting for pictures with Ann and, you know, Brandon's autograph, whatever. Doing signings, like hundreds of people lining up to get signatures. Like that part of it, I wasn't like I knew about it, but I wasn't expecting it to be like that. Right. So that kind of like blew my mind right away, and that's like the biggest difference. And obviously, like, dude, sitting in the back dugout when your team's playing and actually hearing the roar of the crowd when things are going right is like, it's like the best feeling, because you know, like they're all rooting for you and you're just hoping for them to like close it out and everything. So like the crowd and, you know, the fan support has been insane, and I think that's like the biggest difference, and it's not even close. You know?
In the background too, are you getting, you know, is there any like advice or something you're getting from some of the, you know, the OGs, even Hex himself? Is there any type of advice when you first came in that he would like pass along to you, or anything you've, you know, any conversations business wise or anything like that you've talked to him about?
Not much. I probably should talk to him more about, you know, some of like the content stuff I'm starting to do. And I've talked to him a little bit more towards the end of the season, but, you know, going into the season, I was mainly talking with Ray, because that's where he was originally the one who was like bringing me on to help out with the squad.
Right.
So talking with Ray and talking with the players and learning what they liked in terms of, you know, what they needed me to help them out with. That was what I originally set out to do, because I wasn't really going to be with Hex day to day. I was going to be with the team. I was going to be with the players. So obviously talking with them first, but like I said, like talking with them about other stuff is something like I should start doing, and probably will, you know.
And then even in another note, Scump's retirement. How did that?
Oh, that was.
Yeah, I didn't even.
Dude, that caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Like, it was. I don't know. It was one match, and then we finished the match, and then I get a text like that night or something like, "Yo, by the way, like Seth's retiring," and then Seth texts me. He's like, "Yo, I'm having a retirement party like tonight. Like, I would love to have you like over there." And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, you're like,
I was like, what is going on? I was like, and then I was like, wait, who are we picking up? And then I was like, it must be Brandon, right? Like, he's the only one that would fit with us.
Right.
So that all happened, and that was like the most mind-blowing thing. I legit thought it was a joke at first. I was like,
I was like a prank.
I was like, am I getting pranked like,
video or something?
New
like
OpTic guy? Like, am I getting pranked like here? And he was like, but I was like, that's not something you would prank about. You know, that's big news.
Too major.
That is too major for sure. So that happened, and it was like, obviously it caught us off guard, because he was frying.
Yeah,
like,
he was well.
He was probably our best player, like going into when like the fact that or the match that he retired, and I guess he wasn't having fun with it anymore, and you know, I fully respect that. He wanted to do bigger, better things. He's doing the watch party stuff now, and you know that's worked out. And I don't know if he misses it, but he retired out on top. And if there's anyone, or if there's any place for you to do that, like you want to retire out on top, right? You don't want to be retiring when you're dropping the 0.8s or whatever.
Yeah, you're dragging through the mud, basically.
You're dragging through the mud, and the team's like, oh man, we could probably do something better without him.
Yeah.
You know, he was our best player during that time.
Yeah,
so.
we wanted him to stay 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you're retiring?
It's I mean, you were at the function with them, right? When he was retiring. Like,
yeah.
What was being in the room like? Because the YouTube video itself looks just sad as shit.
It was sad, and it was weird because like I only knew him for like 2 months, and I love like working with him. But I was like, kind of feels weird for me to be here when I've only been coaching the team for 2 months. I've only really known him for 2 months, so I was like super grateful that he even invited me to in the first part, because you know it was obviously a big thing for him, but we have a good relationship, and he was like, you know, I would love to have you there. I was like, for sure, I'll support you with that.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
As a new guy still. What prompted you to start making, I guess, coaching, we call them tutorials? What do you want to call them?
Yeah, like tutorials or just concept videos. Like, I don't know. To me, it was like I was just super bored in the off season, and I wanted to do something with my time. And I was like, there is a niche, probably too niche to be honest, but there's a niche that could be tapped into. No one's really doing these type of videos. The only problem that I have is during the season, I don't know how it would do it, because I don't want to obviously give anything away.
Yeah.
Maybe if I just focused on what other teams are doing and not giving away anything that we're doing, but being able to like actually, you know, provide some educational content that's not there right now. And, you know, people might be looking at tips for rank play, or you're just trying to understand the deeper level of COD knowledge, because you don't really see that anywhere. Like you see it sometimes on, you know, live streams where people are pointing, like the watch party or the flanker, they're pointing out plays, but you don't know like why it's happening if you aren't like super into playing the game,
right,
or playing at a high level. Like you don't know what the pros are doing and why they're doing it. So trying to break that down is like something was super cool to me, because I liked watching that type of videos for like things like the NFL. Like I love watching, you know, strategic breakdowns on why, you know, how the quarterback read this specific play. So trying to bring that sort of sense into some educational content was like, you know, I might as well do it because no one's doing it, and I'm not doing anything else right now with my time, so I should be productive. With that. So yeah, I mean it's just a super niche thing, and going into the season I don't know what I'm gonna do, so we'll see how I combat that little issue of trade secrets. And
no, I feel like it's a cool, it is definitely a niche thing, but it's definitely something that's missing, and there is an audience for it. People that really enjoy those videos. I enjoy them. I enjoy watching and seeing, you know,
and even
how you
like
break things down.
Bringing in team comms. Like you never see team comms, especially for search. So I was like, you know, let's bring something out there. Like even if it's obsolete now because we're not playing MGB2. So like I'll throw out some comms here and there. It's not gonna like hurt our squad at all because the game's over, and it's not like anything new because it's just communication. So
you could bring your titles a lot more. By the way, you could throw OpTic in all those titles.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Hard.
Maybe I should start baiting more, but I don't know. Yeah. I want to keep it real, you know.
Yeah. Where do you see your path as a, you know, analyst, kind of a coach? Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 5 years, kind of pushing ahead?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I love what I do, but I think at a certain point I'm not going to want to be sitting in scrims all day and helping teams out. Like I love helping teams out, but maybe, you know, transitioning into like more management or something like that, making decisions. I could see myself doing well in that, but for the time being, I really like what I do now, and like the fact that I'm even getting paid for it when it doesn't even feel like a job is like the best thing.
Right.
So right now that's what I'm going to stick to, but yeah, eventually growing into more maybe managerial or decision making or doing something at a higher level would excite me. But yeah, for right now I'm chilling because I love what I do.
You're not looking too far ahead.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the content stuff you think is going to be a long-term thing, or this is just
I don't know. We'll see
now.
Where we take me. I might think it's a little bit too niche to be like a whole long-term project, but I'm gonna keep at it and see how far I can go. Obviously, for sure.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. It's an exciting season for you guys. I think you guys are gonna do some big things with that team.
I hope so.
I love most of those guys, and Ken and AG have a relationship with them, obviously outside the game a bunch too. So excited to see what you guys do and how you guys mesh together.
Yeah.
I think right now we could jump into some fan questions and see what the Reddit that fucking hates me and Twitter have for you. What lessons did you learn the most from the last season?
What lessons? I would say I kind of touched on it, but really tailoring your coaching to the players that you're working with. I think that's super important. Like being able to connect with them on whatever level that they might want to be connected with, or however they want to be connected with, is super beneficial on actually getting your point across. Because like if you're talking to them like they don't want to be talked to, you know, that's not going to get your point across and it's not going to help anyone. So really tailoring your experiences to whatever player or team you're working with for sure.
Individualized.
Yeah.
What's an aspect of coaching on the technical side of the craft that you learned recently that you wish you had at your disposal when you first started?
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a good question.
I mean, obviously, dude, I was talking about it before, but like learning under Lamar, Crim, Clay, and Damon now, like if I had all that knowledge that I learned back in MW19 when I started even just like going into my first scrim, like that would have changed everything. Like that would be like super beneficial, but obviously not realistic, but you know, the journey has led me to that way. So, you know, to cheat it and have all of that at the beginning would have been cool, but you know, that was a journey, and I'm grateful for how all the experiences that I was like able to attain with all those
that was something that there was no way to even take that back. It was just over time. This was what was going to happen.
But if like I had all of that at my disposal, like what I know now going into MW19, like it would be so much different for sure.
It's literally a cheat code.
Yeah.
We talked about this. During your, this is very specific and niche. We're going to hit that on the head though, because people want to know. During his data analytics journey, did he start with R or Python?
Okay. So I took a Python course in college. That's what I took. And I didn't touch Python for like 1 or 2 years after. And I started working with R in my senior year of college. And that's where I really started to get to do all of like the data, like nerdy stuff. But once I got into scrims, I could use Python for other things. So I started learning that a little bit more. So mainly R, and a little bit of Python, but now I'm like proficient in both. But both are useful. Whatever you want to go into with that, because they're basically like the same thing. Some do some more stuff than others. But
if you had to pick one though,
I would say probably Python. Python I think is a little bit more versatile. So if you're looking to get into stuff, like that's what I always tell people. I get probably like, I would say a message maybe once every month or two of like, you know, I'm trying to be an analyst for Call of Duty. Like, what should I do? And I'm just like, learn coding, learn Python.
Fast as possible.
Like, skip Excel, just learn Python and be on your way, because that's going to help you the most for sure.
How has the data evolved through the different Call of Duty titles?
Oh, this is a good question. So all the way up until Black Ops 3, it was all just whatever was on the scoreboard at the end of the game was what people were able to track. And that's how we would track it.
Minimal.
Stats. Once Activision actually started taking steps for the CWL to give us data, this was before even franchise teams, they had a third party that would be able to like digest the data and get it for like the broadcasts, because I was working on the broadcast side, helping with the graphics, and it just made my life easier because it was already automated. I just had to like tweak some stuff and add some stuff to the broadcast's liking, and that was like super in-depth stuff. So Black Ops 3 to, I want to say, to like BO4.
Okay.
All of those years were super in-depth data that was insane.
So
like,
that period was the most in-depth. Even 100%. To now.
Even to now, that period was the most in-depth. And there's even a GitHub with all like, I think it's World War II and IW data, where it's just like super in-depth, like player and kill locations. Like that's something that we just got like last year. So that is like the holy grail of like data type stuff. That period of time, the beginning of franchising was super bad. It was back to the old days of like whatever was on the final scoreboard or whatever you can capture manually or whatever you can capture yourself. And then they started taking steps as the league to prioritize it a little bit more and started having meetings with us where it's like, oh, what would you like in terms of data or whatever. So
You're like, please.
Yeah, the last 2 years, I was like, guys, all you have to do is look at, World War II,
What
IW,
you did already,
what we had.
literally, yeah.
So that was a little frustrating, but I'm glad that we're finally kind of getting back to it. So
Okay. So it's kind of coming back to the full data scope?
yeah, for sure.
These are from Reddit now.
Okay.
What made him go into COD analytics specifically?
So back in 2014 when we started, it was a Reddit post by Puckett. It was just like volunteers for tracking stats. So it was like me and like 10 other guys. We all got into a Skype call and started tracking for like the Pro League at the time. And I was just always super nerdy with stats and sports. And I was like, oh, analytics are cool. Like if you can get some type of edge based on the numbers and help a team out that way, that's like awesome,
Yeah.
So I always thought that was cool, and just super lucky with the opportunities I was given that I was able to like actually make my way into MLG and help out with the events there, and then end up on a team and start working with a team. So it was like the perfect segue to everything. Like I was able to get into that call with the 10 other guys to start doing the stats. I was super fortunate to be living in the city where the MLG offices were, so I could intern there during the winter break of my freshman year of college.
Wow.
I got super lucky that I could make those connections to like actually work at the events and then follow it up to like actually working with a team. So it's been a long journey, but it's been cool, obviously.
Yeah. Wow. Are any of those guys from that original 10 call still around?
No, I think they've all like dipped out of COD, started focusing more on esports or doing other like day-to-day live stuff, but I don't think any of them have continued.
You're the last of the Mohicans.
I guess so. But.
And then shout out Puckett. Without Puckett, there'd be no
you.
you.
Puckett's my godfather, or codfather.
Codfather?
Yeah, my codfather for sure.
Sheesh. Without him, there'd be no JP.
Yeah, for real.
Look at that, bro. How it all comes around.
And I always think to myself, like, what if I didn't respond to that Reddit post that one day?
Life would really be different.
Like that's some crazy stuff that you think about, like little instances in your life.
That's the butterfly effect.
Yeah, exactly.
How one thing, small thing, leads to a whole branch of life.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. I think I kind of asked this, but if I asked it, tell me. I feel like we talked about this already, but how did work and or school help you in this field, if at all? Because you kind of said that you didn't really.
Yeah, I would say school helped me because I got a degree, so it was like.
Sure. Obviously,
to an employer, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But obviously the work connections that I made and working with MLG was great. School, you could say the two courses that I took for coding, but I would say more the degree was
just having that qualification.
Yeah, especially to the franchise teams where they're just coming to the scene. They don't really know too much about Call of Duty. They're just like, this guy works in the scene and he has a college degree, so it's probably like good.
Yeah.
It's like a safe option.
Did you notice, this is my own question, but did you notice that when things first started franchising, that there was a lot of people working in the scene who really weren't familiar with it? Did you notice that?
Yeah. But that was also like all the money that was being put into it. So it's like, they might be coming from other industries or whatever, but if they have experience business wise, maybe they have the talents
to took some risks
bring
on
it
people.
over. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I noticed that like one of the reasons people don't touch on for like the state of the league now, that I will say, is just I feel like at the beginning of it, a lot of the wrong people were hired essentially that weren't familiar with what made COD great.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think about that a lot, and how today is because of that. Okay. How often do you go over VODs, and who is the most vocal when it comes to trying different things?
Trying different things?
Yeah.
Okay, so VOD, we would do it like every couple of days, but it was only like if we had something that we really wanted to work on, we were struggling this way, or we were really like doing well or improving on one thing, and it's like, okay, we're doing this right. But for the most part, our VOD was all like any game prep that we want to do for a match that was coming up. Mm-hmm. And I would say the most willing to try out new things, Dan and Ant were both really good with that. I think both of them were pretty vocal on trying new things. Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys go in with more, like, at least this op team this year, was once you were on the team, were you guys going in with more of a game plan or more of a just an idea of what we want to do per hill? Do you know what I'm saying?
Idea. I think you'd be amiss to do a full game plan because every map is going to be different. And if you hard prep for one thing and you lose the break off, like everything changes. So it's like, what's the point of having a distinct game plan when it's like, you know, we'll have certain things that we want to do on certain hills, but we're going to be in different situations that we're thinking we're going to be, you know.
Yeah.
We're not going to be in this. It's not all going to go by the book, you know. It's you might hold this hill, but you might get broken on the next 3 hills. So it's not like oh, let's hold down every P3. It's like, okay, we just full held P2. Let's try and break P3 here now. It's not like you can go into like that. You have to be adaptable, and that's one of the bigger things especially for Respawn, where it's like you have to be adaptable for what you're going to be doing, because you're going to be making hundreds of decisions each map, and it's all going to be on the fly. So even for search, like you might have a game plan going into it, but if they throw something else at you, like you're not going to keep going with the game plan if it's failing. Like obviously you're going to change things up, and a lot of things are just super mid-round situational stuff that you just have to practice for, or, you know, talk about beforehand. But yeah, it's all adaptable.
But then I ask, it's kind of like my devil's advocate question, but like, how can you maintain consistency with the inconsistent? Because
the consistency comes to, like, you're going to get in those situations at a certain point. Having that memory of like mistakes that have happened before and actually like fixing it is like a really important skill for COD players. And you see it with some players, and you see that strength with some players, you don't see it with others. And it's like, dude, if you can remember what you did wrong or this situation and what happened wrong here and fix it off of that, that's like step one to like actually improving, you know. So
who on the OpTic roster is the most adaptable, like the quickest in terms of adaptability?
Probably Ant.
Ant?
Yeah. In terms of video game knowledge, like he knows what he's doing. So
yeah, I mean, Halo champion.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't argue with the accolades. On a controller, he knows what's
he's very smart.
Yeah.
People don't give him credit for that, but he is.
I've kind of talked about this. Curious what he thinks the new OpTic roster will do that should propel them to being a team that can win this year versus their team last year.
I think we'll have more consistency with AGs, but the comms might drop off a bit, but it'll be on the rest of the guys to step it up that what we lost with Dan.
Right. Okay.
You know, so Kenny will probably get into that position and improve his comms like that he was last year, because he had Sam, who was like super good with calming.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting like Kenny to bring it up, but also like and Brandon to also bring it up, because obviously they can't work with nothing and not, you know, do the same thing that we did last year, where it's like Dan is mostly calming for us, but all of them are all good calmers. It was just something that Dan could do to take some pressure off of the rest of them.
Yeah, he could take it over and essentially have guys be zoned in for an extra second or whatever, and he's still calling out and coordinating a little bit.
So like bringing those up a little bit more so that we can compensate for that is probably like the biggest thing to like transition for sure.
From last year to this year.
Yeah.
There you go, yeah. Ask him how he sees Kenny and Dashy getting on this year, because in game they had issues in MW 2019.
Well, they even talked about that before, but it was like there really isn't beef at all with them. I think the beef stemmed with, you know, Brandon not doing things that he does as a teammate anymore now, like showing up late or, you know, not being a good teammate in practice or whatever. But like
being young, man. Basically.
Yeah, being young. Like he's obviously learned from that. He's matured. Like they're not gonna have problems with that anymore. Like if that's a problem, like we'll fix that. We'll address that. But
yeah,
like,
it was never game stuff.
No, it was never game stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
That's at least from what I've heard from both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure definitely that's been something to be addressed if they're going to team again. Right? This is kind of a weird one, but I'll see what you got. Does he think he's built for coaching or more of just an analyst type?
I think people just see me as an analyst and like think that like
it's kind of weird. It's a weird question when like in reality you did both essentially.
Okay, I'm not gonna be the coach that's like hyping them up and like getting them ready for the game, but it's like, dude, I'm gonna do my job getting them on the same page. Yeah. Like I want to get them on the same page. I want to address things that need to be addressed, like, and I'll do that. And I'm a more analytical person with how I address things, because I want to look at, you know, practical strengths and weaknesses that we have based on data or based on what I see. But it's not like I can't coach. Like I hate that narrative that people that are analysts can't coach. It's like, dude, a lot of it's just dealing with personalities in the first place anyway. So like
most people don't understand that like coaching and COD, because you're not in the game with them, is pretty much dealing with people.
Yeah.
That's like
100%.
80 to 90% of it.
Literally.
Just making sure that people are
making sure they are on the same page and addressing any issues that they might have.
And sometimes being the punching bag too. Like if there's problems, you have to kind of take it on and be like, fuck, I did that.
Like I'm fine with being the punching bag if they need to be. But like, dude, like the fact that people might not think that I'm fit to be a coach, like I don't even know what that means. Like,
yeah, I disagree. I kind of I disagree with that the narrative too.
Like I said, like I'm not gonna be the one hyping them up and like, getting them in team huddle and stuff. But like, that's just not.
Do you get that? Do you get that narrative on like Reddit and stuff? Do people critique you as like an analyst versus a coach? Is that kind of something that's been said and you've seen?
No, I've seen on Twitter things like, he's the analyst, not the coach. But I'm like, I'm just an analytical coach. Like I've always seen myself as a coach. It's like, dude, ever since like maybe the first or second month of MW 2019, where I never had sat in a scrim before, like I could see myself as just an analyst, or maybe like the first like 3 or 4 months of MW 2019. But since then, like I'm in the scrim calls, I'm having conversations like after each map with them. Like, yeah, like
they don't realize that. I don't think anyone realizes that you're there in the scrims daily. Like you're basically with them almost every scrim. Right?
Oh yeah, every scrim. Yeah.
So I'm saying you're in there. It's not like you're just taking numbers from the scrims and then doing some like, computer work and then sending it to them later. Yeah. You're in the scrims. You're watching them. Oh, you're active with them. So if you're not a coach, then what is a coach?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a shit narrative, guys. Fix this narrative.
I don't see it a lot, but I do see it for sure.
How active is he in building strats for the team? Search strats, hardpoint breakoffs, hardpoint setups, etc.
Every now and then, it's like split. It's not like I'm the only one doing it. Like players will do it too, but I'll suggest things that like other teams might be doing, or I see in a scrim or something like that. So it's like, yeah, I contribute, but it's not like just me. It's everyone.
Team effort.
Yeah, team effort for sure.
What do you think the biggest strength of each player on OpTic is?
Oh, this is good. So unfortunately, I don't have as much information with AG and Kenny yet, so I can't really
watch them though.
Yeah, but I don't know how they are in the team environment. But okay, let's just do it in terms of like what our perceived notion of them was.
Sure.
So AG, consistency with gunfights. Like obviously you can look at the numbers, you can look at gameplay wise, you'll see that. And in-game knowledge, movement, that type of stuff. Brandon, consistency on the AR side, or I would say the straightest shot in the league for an AR. I'd say him and Paco are literally tied for number 1 with straightest shot. Like, if I'm taking them in a 1v1 for sure. And then Kenny, I think he'll be what we need for leadership. I think in terms of having that experience with being a world champion on LAT and having a lot of success with LAT and having a lot of success just in general in his career, he's going to be that good leader for the rest of the squad for sure. Proven leader.
Yeah. Okay. Oh no, I had a great question.
Oh no.
Oh my God, I had a good one, bro. No, not like oh, got it back.
Okay.
This is a couple questions. I just had some myself. Yeah, get some bait. Why not?
Yeah.
Give me your top 5 COD players all time.
Top 5? Okay. Oh, we're getting there, bro.
Yeah, dude, we're getting there.
I mean, I think you have to put Crim first.
Okay.
I go Crim, Seth, Damon, Clay, Formal.
Respectable.
I think that's the way to go.
Respectable.
The 2-3 position is hard. Putting Damon and Seth like 2 and 3 is really hard, but I would say that.
I think the hardest part of that conversation is, again, people have different definitions for greatness. That's like the one weird
I think
thing.
you just have to put Crim number 1 because of the championships.
Yeah, but then you go to the NBA and you're like, oh, is Bill Russell number 1 because he has 11 titles or 13, some crazy amount of titles. So it's always that weird. I get why it's such a point of contention with people.
But in terms of like talent, I would put Seth number 1. But in terms of like the best winner, like Call of Duty player because of what he was able to do with teams, is like, you have to put Crim.
Yeah, but then you defined it separately. But then when I say the greatest, now it's just those are under that umbrella. So it's really whatever someone prioritizes is what kind of stands out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a baity question. I had one more baity question.
But like, dude, you could put all 5 of those guys in pretty much any order, and I would be like, fine. Yeah.
You're like, I kind of agree pretty much. Yeah.
But I think top 3 is for sure solidified.
Those 3 are.
I think Clay has a case if like because of what he's done with teams because of what he's done with teams that aren't like super talented. Like he's able to mold players and play with other people and still have kind of decent success. But I think those three are just you can't have them not in the top three for sure.
Okay, that one's those are the for sures.
Yeah.
What's your favorite besides you guys own? What's your favorite off-season move?
Favorite off-season move
Besides the OpTic one, obviously.
I think Envoy to Toronto. I think Envoy to Toronto is probably the probably the best move with like what they were like
what they're missing and what
they're
got.
missing, what they got exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if you can answer this, but what's your least favorite?
Least favorite?
Yeah, it's a little dicey.
Let me find a political answer. Oh, this is good. We just talked about Clay not being on Legion. He brought a lot of success to what they were trying to do.
Org-wise.
Or
generally too.
Yeah. And generally, like that was probably their best performing season. At least they made it close to champs, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely that. Because I think he definitely deserves a spot, and I don't know what Legion is doing in terms of anything nowadays. So.
Yeah. Did you hear what they offered him?
No.
You didn't hear it?
No.
It was I think it was a 50 grand pay cut, and then
pay cut,
and then everything. How they were trying to compensate for it was all the deals any brand deals he brought, they would give.
Oh yeah, like he was they would give him
marketing
50% manager or whatever.
Yes,
technically.
but like you're paying him less and then giving him 50% of what he could bring in.
That's insane,
bro. Clay has more followers than the entire org.
Yeah.
Why? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think Clay deserves a spot after last year after what he proved in his just leadership and his gameplay.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite beyond Paco? Who's your MVP for last year?
Beyond Paco, who's your favorite?
Or you can even say who's your personal favorite player, just to watch or play or just see.
I'll tell you who's my favorite player to watch and coach.
Okay, well,
because coach I have
coach
I have a few. So player to watch is Ant.
Okay,
like I think he has the best POV in the league. Player to coach has to be okay. I have like 2, 3, 4 maybe.
Damn, we can't. 4 is too many.
Okay, easiest to work with.
Okay,
it's got to be either Asim or Kismet.
Okay,
those are like the 2 easiest players I've ever had to work with. Most pleasure coaching those 2. And then like favorite to coach, it probably is Ant or Clay. Like I didn't have as much time with a lot of other people, but you know, Clay, especially in Cold War, was good to coach. Paco even, like he's obviously grown and matured more, but I love coaching him too. But like, I don't know. I've had a good relationship with pretty much everyone I've coached. So,
who was the most difficult to coach?
Most difficult to coach. Crim.
I think
it's Crim.
I can think of somebody.
And he probably knows that too. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, he's probably the most difficult. But there's so much good in what he was doing, like day to day too. Like, I even told him this, but like, dude, I don't think I've ever had another player give 110% effort every single day. Like, it's hard to do that every single day in practice. You're practicing, 6, maybe sometimes 7 days a week. And there's always going to be, an off day for one player. But that dude was 110% every day. And, like, I'll always, like, respect that from him.
He came with that intensity?
Oh, 100%.
I mean,
even though it made my job a little difficult, but, like, he was at least giving every single day.
You respected how he was moving, basically.
Oh, for sure.
Those are, I think, all the fan questions that we have.
Cool.
I'm going to go to the exclusive final questions, which are my personal set of questions that come from James Lipton, who asked them on Inside the Actor Studio, who would end every interview conversation with these questions, and I continue the tradition. The exclusive final questions. JP. What does it stand for? John Paul, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You never went by just John Paul? You don't want to sound like a 15th century pope?
I don't know.
That wasn't your thing?
Yeah, I mean, my parents call me that, and like sometimes my sister, but like I don't know. I've always gone by JP. It's just easier.
You walk around the house, they say like, John Paul, come here.
Yeah, or like John or like John Paul. Like,
did anyone ever call you Paul?
No.
You're like, hell,
that's my dad's name, so like they wouldn't call me that. But like even just calling by just Paul is weird.
Do you have a middle name?
No.
Oh, so
I don't have a middle name because it would have been too long.
Already too many names going on here.
Too much going on.
Okay, so John Paul, ready? What is your favorite word?
Favorite word? Oh, dude, I was not ready for these type of questions. I was expecting this should be like COD questions.
Something COD related?
Favorite word.
You're saying Jeopardy?
Yeah.
Jeopardy theme.
I'll say analytical. That's the topic of the whole conversation. So
That's your favorite word? Analytical?
yeah.
Okay.
What are we? Am I trying to be like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious or some
Please
shit?
don't pick that one.
What the fuck?
Please don't
What
pick
they
that
have
one.
to put it in the video and stuff?
Yeah, no, let's not. Analytical is perfect.
Okay.
What's your
On
least
topic.
favorite word? On top? Wait, what?
On topic. On
Oh,
topic.
on topic. On topic. What's your least favorite word?
Least favorite word, dude. What are these questions?
They're the final questions. The exclusive final questions. We talk a lot of COD here, you know. We want to now. We're trying to get a little bit about you.
Okay. Least favorite word.
Should I say some of the common answers?
Sure.
No. Lose. No. Moist.
Moist.
Those are the top 3 so far.
Excuse. I hate excuse, bro.
The word or what it represents?
Both. No, probably what it represents. But isn't that what would you say for the other examples that you gave?
It's up to you. Again, it's however you interpret the question, right? Because you could say it's based on the actual sound of the word. Where some people say moist, they just hate the sound of it.
Yeah.
Right. But then you could say it's just what it represents. Excuses.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I just don't like them for the most part. Like.
Okay. All right, fair.
I think if there's a good excuse, that's different.
There's not many good excuses.
But it's like I'm also tagging good to the excuse. You know, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there has to be a good reason for it. You
individually, just excuse without the good attached to it is the worst shit.
Yeah.
Okay. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Creatively, just being passionate about what I'm doing. Like, I talk about it with stat stuff and coaching stuff, but actually, like, having that passion is just so motivating. Like, dude, I was talking about before, but like, I'll go in every day. It doesn't even feel like a job to me. Like, obviously I'm getting paid for it, but like, dude, I'm doing like what I wanted to do for the past 6-7 years since I was like still watching COD and actually working on it. Like, I'm actually working for a team now and helping them out in some sense, you know?
Yeah.
Being that person that could, you know, somewhat bring something out of a player, or, you know, bring something that might have that one slight edge in a match that could, you know, change the tides or something, like that excites me. You know, that type of work really like motivates me for sure.
Nice. What turns you off in the same way?
What turns me off?
Yeah.
When people are late.
It's kind of excuses.
I think so too, but it's like it just representing that you're not it's representing that you're not respecting my time. And if I'm respecting your time, you should be respecting my time.
Now I feel a little bad because I was a little late today.
Nice.
So just to everyone knows the background here. The reason why I'm looking at the camera right now is I was a little late today. Sheesh, son. All right. I apologize for my
No,
lateness
you're
now.
good.
What is your favorite curse word?
Favorite curse word?
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not say fuck?
Some people say
Like
different
you
ones.
could be used for so many things. So like,
I like the fuck's nice. I like shit though only because I love the word horse shit. So
Okay.
shit is my favorite personally. Makes sense though. What sound or noise do you love?
what sound or noise?
Yeah.
Oh, there's got to be something that's like super good. Okay.
Stands out, yeah.
What sound or noise? Oh, ocean waves.
Nice.
Dude, like if you're chilling on the beach and you're just like trying to sleep on a towel in the sand and you just hear the ocean waves, perfect.
Done.
I'm
What
out.
sound or noise do you hate?
Sound or noise? Like nails on a chalkboard.
Okay.
Like that type of stuff makes me cringe, dude.
That is the number one answer. Not
Really?
gonna lie. Yeah.
Okay,
The
yeah.
nail chalkboard.
I'm sorry, that's kind of boring.
No, it's normal. It's normal though. Scratching the styrofoam.
Scratching styrofoam doesn't really do much for me.
Nah.
No.
Nails on plates, or forks on plates.
Forks on plates is kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's like those three are generally the most answered. Like
Okay.
it's kind of those three. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
It's hard because I love what I do. I would have liked to see what I would have done if I went the law route. Maybe done some contractual stuff. Maybe helped start the union for the COD players or something. You know, like I don't know. Maybe that's what would have been my path if I didn't go this way.
Could still be part of the butterfly effect.
Yeah, and honestly, like this all fails, like law school is still there, so eventually maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
See you. Do you think that, I mean, at some point you dropped the topic, but the players union, is that a possibility, you think?
I think the players need to be motivated to do it.
What would incentivize that?
Them realizing the benefits of it.
How do you push that to them, though?
It's hard because I hate to say it, but COD players are just lazy a lot for the most part when something that could be bringing them benefits. But, you know, obviously there are downsides to doing it. Like you have to pay union dues and stuff, but eventually in the long run, it would help out. So
I think it's tough too when people are so different situationally. When there's challengers players that like 18 years old, 50, just a minimum 50 grand would change their lives. So like they're not, if not everyone agrees,
you know, it's gonna be one like catastrophic thing that happens,
and then
people are gonna be like, dude, how are we standing for this? Like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, why are we doing this? Like, we need to be unionized in some form to counteract this, you know?
Yeah. What profession would you not like to do?
What profession would I not like to do?
Yeah.
Something where I'm just sitting in the office cubicle for 9 hours a day.
That is the most answered.
Really?
Yeah. But it's a good answer.
It's 100% the answer.
Yeah, if I was sitting in your seat, I'd say the same thing.
Dude, I get to go to the gym in the morning. I get to do my thing because, you know, COD players wake up a little bit later. But, dude, if we could start scrims at 11 o'clock, like, I would do it. Like, you know, that's what they do on the West Coast.
You're not getting that passed, bro.
But
it's not happening.
But, yeah, no, for sure. And sitting in an office day to day, I'm just thinking, like, to myself, no windows in the cubicle. Like, I don't even see outside. I'm just wearing a suit in the cubicle. Like, dude, I could never do it.
Just a monotonous
I could never do it.
Okay. And before I ask the final question, what message do you have for, you know, people that enjoy you, the prospective coaches out there, the people who are looking at, you know, trying to be like someone like you, and then even the OpTic fans? What is your little final message to everybody?
First off, like, first get passionate with something. Like, actually, it's so easy to stay motivated when you're actually fully passionate with something and you can, like, direct your attention to it, like, fully. So, like, find that passion, work towards it, and, like, actually create something out of it. Like, you don't want to be the one that, like, bypasses and, you know, has this passion but never does anything with it, because you're just going to be filled with regret later on. But if you actually, like, do something and act on it, like, then, you know, good things will come for sure.
It's a good final message.
Good final message.
And it leads into a perfect final question for how that just culminated.
Yeah.
If heaven exists,
okay,
what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
What would I like to hear him say? You did a good job.
Heard that answer before too.
Oh no.
That's it, go guys. Like, comment, subscribe, comment who you want to see else. Comment if you have anything else for JP. Go follow him at JP Krez, JPKREZ.
Yeah.
On everything. On everything. And we're looking forward to the OpTic season. Thank you for coming on, bro.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
We're out.